Hello and welcome to Fraggle Talk Classic, the unofficial Fraggle Rock podcast brought to you by toughpigs.com. My name is Beth, and I am rewatching for the millionth time.
My name is Julia, and I'm rewatching for the first time in 10 years.
My name is Adam, and I'm watching War the Turst Fime and Orfever.
Wow. Adam has been cursed by Aunt Tamanella from The Frog Prince.
Yes. Oh dear, who did this? Who put you under this curse?
Autism. A fourth voice. Hello.
Oh my gosh.
Where did you come from? Who could you be?
Oh, it's me. I'm JD Hansel. I came from toughpigs.com. That's where you already are, so it wasn't a very long trip. I thought I might as well stop by.
Oh, well, come on into our podcast space.
It's our very first return guest.
Am I the first return guest?
Yeah.
You are.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, awesome. That's great. That warrants a celebration. I'll blow my little horn.
Yes.
Yes. Swoop over time.
Swoop boomer.
I've still got dozens, and I still owe the three of you yours, so
We'll get there.
I will send them
The
at some
Swoop
point.
Firmers have made cameos on other Tough Pigs podcasts at this point. I just listened to the Muppet fandom panel, I think a day or two ago, where they were mentioned in full, and you also dropped an audio clip from this podcast so people knew what you were talking about.
I did. I plugged a little.
Glorious.
Love the cross promotion.
Yeah, well, I was very happy to get some of the people listening to my Tough Pigs podcast, the Great Muppet Fandom Panel, also listening to this show to the extent to which I could help it. I've tied the two together with this one little device. It's bringing worlds together.
Aww.
And I guess you already heard what I started as a gag on this show by bringing out a loud, noisy device on a podcast. Maybe not a great idea, since people listen to these while they're driving and don't need to hear a random horn honking at them. That could be confusing. Some people listen to podcasts while they're trying to sleep. That could be unhelpful. It wasn't my best idea, but nevertheless, I started the gag. I've committed to the gag, and I took it all the way to the point of distributing them to the whole crowd at the Museum of the Moving Image on Jim Henson's birthday this year.
Oh my god.
And I didn't know if anyone was going to be up for it and was going to be into it, because again, we were in a museum. Security was watching, and we were in the lobby of the museum, a place where you are famously supposed to be quiet. But then Heather Henson was excited for it and started blowing one, and then everyone else started blowing theirs.
Yes.
Amazing.
And we celebrated Jim Henson's birthday this way.
That's a beautiful thing.
Isn't it, though?
I think of all the museums, the one that you could definitely get away with doing that in would be one like surrounding Muppets and Jim Henson.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the
And
one.
hey, if Heather Henson starts it, then that's basically giving permission to everybody else.
Right. Who can complain?
Mm-hmm.
That was my feeling.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's amazing.
You're very welcome.
Also, the Mate Gruppet Pandem Fannel.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Shall we talk about the episode?
Let's talk about the episode. Today we are talking about episode 22 of season 1, Mokey's Funeral. As you might imagine, this episode does talk about death and grief, so there's your content warning right up front. This originally aired on June 6, 1983, written by Jerry Jewell and Susan Jewell, and directed by Jim Henson.
Nice.
Before we dive into the actual plot, I will say that this is the episode I reviewed for Tough Pigs several months ago, and I have ADHD and forgot that that's what I did, and so I started the episode and said, oh no, I have the wrong episode. We've talked about this one before, because I watched it recently, and then I had to like do some deep like thinking of like, but I don't actually remember talking about it, but I know I've watched it. And so then I pulled up my Tough Pigs article and I was like, oh, yeah, this is why it's familiar. So this one I kind of, first time in 10 years, that's a little bit of a flub. It's the first time in like 4-5 months, but it was really nice to watch it again. It's a good one.
Yeah.
It is a good one.
Since you just mentioned the credits for this episode, I wanted to briefly give another shout out to Jerry Jewell, who I know was shouted out on this podcast just a couple episodes ago. But to add some further context, Jerry Jewell really is like the guy when it comes to Muppet writing. And pretty much everyone else who's written for the Muppets has been imitating him, because he started with Jim as a performer back in the very early days. Like he was before Frank Oz, before Jerry Nelson. I think like Bob Payne was first. And of course, Jane Henson was first. But Jerry got in early and quickly found he was much better as a writer for them and just kept writing really most of the classic Muppet things that you've seen. And so that means by season 2 of The Muppet Show, he was head writer of that show, one of the writers of The Muppet Movie, Caper, Christmas Carol, like most of the Muppet things that you love come from Jerry, and he was in the room that created Fraggle Rock. He was one of the few people who was gathered in that hotel room when Jim Henson said, "I want to do a children's show that brings peace to the world," and then they all laughed at him. He was one of the few who was there, him with Jocelyn Stevenson, and I think of those two, Jerry, Jewel, and Jocelyn, as like the main writers for Fraggle Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jerry, even when you're watching an episode of this show that was not credited to Jerry Jewell as a writer, keep in mind that his fingerprints are all over this, and you will notice his voice as a writer from previous Muppet productions like The Muppet Show carrying into this show quite a bit, I think.
Awesome.
That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. No, that's really awesome.
Yeah. Piggybacking off of that, I want to read this quote here from The Tome.
The Tome.
The Tome.
The Tome.
When he was hired, marooned writer David Young was always upfront about wanting to tackle dark subjects such as mortality and fear. Fortunately, Jerry Jewell was always willing to let you go there, says Young, and then he would show you how to re-illuminate it from within, so you could be full of despair, but you could also flip it over to something that was very funny and light. According to Young, Jewell was like a big, happy kid whenever he got excited about a strange or silly idea, and the writers all tried to please the kid inside him. Lawrence Merkin puts it a different way. Jerry was really the literary voice of the Muppets, and he created what I always called lunatic humanism, which was sort of the spirit to me of the Muppets. That certainly was true in Fraggle Rock.
That's lovely.
I just loved that so much.
Is it too late to rename our podcast Lunatic Humanism?
That could be like the subtag for it.
Exactly.
So, we open, and Doc is wearing, inside his house, as his casual wear, a vest, a collared shirt, and no belt. Absolute power move.
Wait, what?
Has he?
He's got a vest on.
Yeah.
He's got a collared shirt around the house. There's no belt on his pants. It's just pants. There's no belt.
Has he worn a belt in previous episodes?
Do pants always need a belt?
No, but if you're gonna wear a vest, you should wear a belt.
Really?
Yes.
I guess I just don't wear vests.
This is the important note that you wanted to lead with.
Listen here, you. Yeah. No,
Okay.
it's like seeing somebody wear like a top hat and pajamas. Although actually that sounds amazing. I would wear the heck out of a top hat.
I was
and
going to say, that
pajamas.
sounds like something we would regularly see in our weird friend group.
It would have to be a soft top hat.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So what's the episode about? What's Doc doing? What are Doc and Sprocket up to this time?
Oh, I've just got 2 pages of notes about how important belts are.
All right.
No,
as Mokey learns, we're not talking about belts, it's boats.
Oh, well, Doc doesn't have one of those either.
What he does have, though...
No, he's got the hiccups.
He does have the hiccups.
He does have the hiccups, and he's very cranky about it.
Yeah.
Ned Schimmelfinney calls him, and
Yeah.
he, starts giving Doc advice over the phone, and Doc is just not having it at all.
Yeah, Doc is at the angriest I've ever seen him, and all just because of the hiccups, which are annoying, but not cause for the angriest Doc I have ever seen.
Yeah.
But I think he is absolutely right about the worst part of having a problem like hiccups or any common minor ailment is getting the same basic advice over and over after you've already tried it. Except sometimes it's worse when someone gives you the obvious advice and you forgot to try it and have to be like, you're right. I forgot to just take pain meds for my pain. You got me. That is really painful.
Oh, yeah. And there's no meds for that one.
For hiccups.
For the hiccups?
No, there's no meds for the pain of having been told you need to take pain meds for your pain.
But I do sympathize for Doc here, getting this advice from everybody, from Sprocket, just Sprocket trying to explain all the basics to him of how to do just basic hiccup remedies.
For me, actually, I really appreciated that, 1, we get to see a really cranky Doc, and 2, they don't play it for laughs. A lot of times we've seen Doc as being like cranky, but it's a funny cranky, and this time it's not. And for me, honestly, that also rings really neurodivergent. You've got that one specific sensation that just makes everything bad. If you're feeling overstimulated, and being overstimulated and also having your diaphragm spasm every so often does sound like the kind of thing that would make me really cranky.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't be snapping, I would just stop talking, but...
Right. I like that because Doc has gotten a little bit angrier and crankier in this, just that little bit more is what it takes for them to finally do a story in which Sprocket says enough is enough. Like this whole time, Sprocket's just been taking it as Doc has been pretty awful to him. And I thought they were just going to ease into a nicer Doc without having any story stuff to explain that change. Because I remember, at least in my memory, Doc gets nicer than he is in season 1.
Yeah.
But no, they actually show you, like, Sprocket has a moment when he's like, okay, enough with this. And look at Sprocket breaking free of his oppressor.
Yes, Sprocket, set your boundaries.
It's like my favorite Beatles song, Revolution Number K9. He's done. The dogs are revolting, but don't tell them I said that.
I mean, he only makes it as far as the front step, which we'll see later in the episode.
Hey, that's farther than he's made it before.
Still a boundary.
That is true.
Still a boundary.
Baby steps that up.
Yeah, I mean, Doc, like, tells him things like, all I ever do is feed the dog, and at the prices of this dog food, it would be cheaper to keep a moose, which I don't think that's true, but I understand being in that headspace where you're just looking to be angry at everything because of the state that you're in, and then you just start saying ridiculous, not true things, but the anger just feeds into it.
Which also, he says, all I ever do is feed the dog. Respectfully, sir, no the heck you don't. You forget to feed your dog so much.
Multiple episodes he forgets to feed his dog. But also, Julia's Dog Corner, if you have a dog, you are signing an invisible contract, 1, to always pick its poop up when you're walking it, and 2, that you're going to feed it at least twice a day, if not more, depending on the dog, because all dogs have different diets. That's just part of having a dog, Doc. You should know this.
Yeah. We also, like, he's been neglectful as all heck, but this is the first time I think we've seen him be genuinely really mean, because he spills some dog food, and he goes, oh, eat it off the floor, Sprocket. And I was like, wow, dang, that's rude.
And then he immediately goes on to say, sometimes I wonder why I keep a dog here at all.
Yeah.
Well, that's like the moment where Sprocket grabs his bowl and is like, I'm out of here. I don't need to take this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Which, good for him.
Right? Like, imagine hearing that from your, like, primary person that you live with and who is supposed to, like, take care of you and be your companion. Ugh.
Right, and imagine you're a dog. First imagine you're a dog, and then imagine hearing that from the primary person who's supposed to take care of you.
Hold on, I'm still trying to get all of my colors into grayscale. Okay, what was the next step?
Fluff your whiskers.
Wait, do you have a ball? What's that smell? Anyways, so we cut to the Fraggles.
And you've got Mokey, who's on her way to, I believe, gather some radishes, and she bumps into Gobo and Red, who, as we've been saying recently, like, just have some great banter going on between them about, oh, I didn't write it down, something about, like,
I got it.
What did they say?
We're gonna go build a boat. And Red goes, I'm in charge of construction, and he's in charge of mistakes. And Gobo says, my first mistake was asking her to help. And Red makes this glorious face at him.
It's just, it's so good between them. Like, we talked, I think, in a previous episode or two about Karen and Jerry, but they've just got such good rapport with one another, and you really feel it when watching Gobo and Red. But then, yeah, Mokey wants to join in on helping build the boat, and they don't even, like, try to sugarcoat, like, oh, that's okay, we're good. They just tell her, oh, you're better at the artistic stuff, and we're better at the practical stuff, so we're good. And that's just it. That's what they leave it at.
Yeah, it's harsh. It feels a little bit like they're kind of spinning around some of the ideas established in the 30-minute work week, where the Fraggles kind of figure out what's their thing, what's the right job for them, what's their lane. And then this is the episode that says, well, what happens when everyone kind of gets a very limited idea of who you are and what you can do because of the lane that you've chosen, even if it is the right one, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that this is something, like, even us silly creatures kind of fall into, of just pigeonholing our friends and family members, of kind of having a distinct idea of what a person can fill and what they can do. Whereas, you know, Fraggles and silly creatures are, you know, multidimensional, and we can do all of the things. As a poet, like, this episode speaks so much to me, as people being like, oh, you're great at the poetry, but also, like, not so much like doing stuff around the house or anything like that.
Julia, you ever built a boat?
I have never built a boat, so I guess you've got me there.
Yeah, so what's even the point of you? How do you justify your existence?
Well, she justifies her existence with poetry.
Why are you a person if you've never built a boat?
Because I'm going to go off in the corner and write poems about white birds and death, of course.
Perfect.
So Mokey's feeling understandably kind of grumpy, and so she goes off, and there is just a big old cage between her and the radishes, and she overhears Junior talking to Ma Gorg about how he's going to catch a Fraggle. First off, he baits the cage with garlic gumdrops.
Yeah.
Which, what an experience.
So here's the thing about the garlic gumdrop smell. I am no stranger to these experiences in which the tastes and smells that other people find wonderful strike me as absolutely unbearable. It's really frustrating when we're trying to build a better world in which everyone can coexist to have to manage the way that the things that bring some folks their joy in life are what bring others their pain and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe it's possible to resolve this conflict without killing off one group or the other, but I'm not sure how yet, and I was wondering if you all wanted to weigh in on that.
It really reminds me, there's a concept going around in some of the circles that I run in about how there's no such thing as a universal safe space.
Mm-hmm.
And the understanding that you need to have like some level of compromise, but you also need to have some level of just like multiple spaces.
Mm-hmm.
There's not necessarily a one-size-fits-all solution for it, but the understanding that like, yeah, if you have a situation with a lot of people who are vision impaired and they need a lot of really bright, really clear light, that's going to make that situation incredibly more uncomfortable for anyone who's autistic or otherwise light sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And you can't fix that entirely.
Right.
So you have to either have a couple of spaces or find some way to compromise.
Okay, and now we know what the arc of Fraggle Rock needs to be building towards, and what the arc of humanity needs to be building towards. I really, really like that. Remind me to somehow find your circles and get in your circles, because they sound really cool.
Cool. It's literally just various meme pages that I follow that share stuff that makes sense to me.
Also, apologies for how dark my note turned there. I forgot when I started reading it that's where I went with it when I wrote it yesterday. I must have been in a mood.
It is okay. Gee, I can't imagine why you would have been in a mood.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything's going fine right now in the world. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And just in case you were wondering, the Fraggle Foodie will not be attempting to make garlic gumdrops.
No?
No. The Doozer Sticks was as close to candy making as I ever want to get.
Oh, I see.
That
Yeah.
is some finicky, dangerous nonsense.
I bet.
I love garlic so much, but the idea of the flavor of a candy being garlic, for some reason my brain can't wrap my mind around it, and there's a good chance I could try it and be like, oh, actually, I love this because garlic is delicious, but what a wild profile for a sweet.
We need to not start another candy argument on this podcast. One is already tearing you guys apart. I can't.
It's not tearing us apart, just some of us are wrong and we'll never forgive them.
Oh, well, that's fine then.
Yeah, no,
I
it's
learned
fine.
my partner is a Twizzler person anyway.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Vindication.
Really made me debate our engagement anyway.
There's a support group that we're making it's called PWDTP, People Who Date Twizzler People.
Oh, good. Glad to know I'm not alone.
Yeah.
So about this scene,
It's
amazing to me that the tiny mechanical Mokey can hold her nose so convincingly. I'm just appreciating the puppetry here, because I don't know how there's room in that tiny thing for arms so perfectly posable, and also the mechanics involved in those little tiny Fraggles. They've proven to be so much more versatile than I would have expected.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the puppetry is fantastic, and I had not caught that. Thank you for pointing that out. There's also a really good line where we get some nice insight into Junior, because Ma's like, why do you even want to catch Fraggles anyway? And he says, I don't know, Ma. It's hard to explain. It's 'cause they're there.
And he does so while striking this, finger towards the sky pose.
Mm-hmm.
Which, that's the reference to the Everest quote, right? I'm not tripping?
Oh.
Why you climb Mount Everest, because it's there? Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Did not know.
there we go. Thank you. I thought it sounded familiar. I think the Junior Gord canon is starting to shift here from the Fraggle pursuit being a job given to him by his father to it being something he feels personally compelled to do that his parents can't understand.
Yeah.
But I can't remember how that plays out in the rest of the series. I kind of wish this had been the result of a narrative instead I feel like I'm being, for lack of a better term, Gorglet. I feel like they're trying to convince me that I've always seen the Gorgs have this relationship to the Fraggles, and they have not. This is a new canon for Junior as far as I'm concerned.
This episode definitely strikes a whole different tone that we don't think we've really seen in full before with the Gorgs in relationship to the Fraggles. And also, I will note, it seems very purposeful that Pa Gorg is not in this episode, because there are some moments later in this episode where if Pa was there, wouldn't be as tender or sweet as they come across.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I think up to this point, we've seen the Gorgs and the Fraggles, obviously Ma and Pa Gorg see the Fraggles as just pests, pure and simple.
Mm-hmm.
And with Junior, it's a little more complicated because he's also, trying to catch them or thump them. And, he can say hypothetically in a song or in a monologue, like what he would do to a Fraggle if he ever caught one. But now this is the first time he's caught one for a long enough period of time to, like, deal with the negative consequences of it.
Which we are jumping ahead, but yes.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good.
But yeah, I guess what I wanted to say was that at this point, he's still viewing, catching Fraggles as a game to play or a puzzle to solve.
Right.
It's not about the outcome at this point. It's about the chase.
But he does talk about wanting to thump a Fraggle, and I think that that does come from the idea of, like, trying to have someone be the exterminator, have someone, like, kill the pests.
Yeah.
That seems to be the driving factor here. I do think you're right. For him, it's a game. But he has been wanting to thump a Fraggle, and I don't know that I believe that Junior didn't mean to kill a Fraggle, but I think when he says he didn't mean to kill a Fraggle, I believe that Junior believes it in that moment, that he thinks he didn't mean it before.
Yeah.
It feels like it fits into the whole sort of theme of this episode, which is a really fantastic lesson that I don't see touched on a lot, is that, like, it's really easy to get caught up in the fun of something and not realize that what you're doing is actually going to hurt somebody for real.
Yeah, okay. We should touch on that more later because we haven't yet gotten to...
Okay.
We haven't gotten to any of those beats. No,
right,
So there's the trap in front of the entrance to Fraggle Rock, and Mokey is like, oh, I should go get Gobo and Red because they'll know what to do. And then she takes a beat, remembering the conversation she just had with them, and she's like, no, wait, I'm going to do something. I'm going to come up with a plan. And then, very much like a poet, like artist, she pulls out her journal and starts journaling out her plan.
Yes.
And there's such a weird moment where she's like, oh, I know, I'll be like the sacrificial princess and sacrifice myself, and then fantasizes about doing just that. Which, I mean, who has it? Like, it's a little relatable of being like, oh, I will take the brunt of this. I will sacrifice myself for the greater good. And then she immediately is like, oh, the princess part sounds nice, but the sacrifice part sounds painful. But, like, we get, like, a not a flashback, we get kind of like a fantasy segment of her, like, in this white dress with some flowers of her on her way to sacrifice herself.
Which, important note, this is a different flowing white robe than the one she wore in Red's daydream about how great Mokey is.
Yeah, I knew we'd seen something kind of like this before where it's just like a one-off shot. It feels maybe a little bit out of place, but I couldn't remember what episode we'd seen it in before.
But yeah, no, this is a totally different outfit. It's, very flowing with lots of gold accents. She's got 4 guards with gold staffs that are accompanying her, and she's got this headdress with white lilies.
Dang.
It's a beautiful little scene with amazing production design. It's one of those moments where you can feel Jim indulging as a director.
Yeah.
And I love it. And it ends with a very violent sound effect on screen. Like a big chopping sound. Such a great dark episode.
Yeah, like she goes forward to be the sacrificial princess, and then we just hear off screen the trap snap shut. We just get this moment of, startled reaction from the guards.
It's interesting because Jim Henson famously didn't really get the off-screen joke. Apparently, I think, I can't remember where I heard or read this, but apparently Jerry Jewell would come to him with a script, and Jim would be like, why don't we see the joke? Why don't we see everything that's happening? Why is this just an off-screen sound? It's funnier if we see it. And Jerry's like, no, the whole point is that you kind of put it together as a viewer. And Jim's like, no, I think it's funnier if you just see all of it. So it's interesting that here it looks like maybe Jerry got his way.
Yeah. I can understand how that choice for this moment would have been, because in this moment, it's not an off-screen joke, it's an off-screen death.
I was going to say, you can do a lot with slapstick humor, and executions don't really line up there. It's really hard to do a slapstick execution. That's not, those things don't, although that would be a cool punk band. So she goes back and she's like, yo, I need to let y'all know that there's some stuff going on, but don't worry, I'll handle it. And Gobo immediately just starts, planning. He's like, all right, we got to talk to this person. We got to talk to that person. Mokey's like, no, it's my job. I'll handle it.
And then Boober tells her it can't possibly work. And Red responds, you tell her, Boober, which is just so mean to say to their friend's face. One of them also says, face it, Mokey, your plans are worse than garlic gumdrops. And just, oof, that's pretty harsh.
Mean.
Yeah.
It's mean.
I love Boober's line, "We'll die without ever knowing why,"
Yes.
or "die without even knowing why," which I may have typed it wrong, but I burst out laughing.
Yeah, so the setup to that is that, Boober says, if we can't get the radishes in the garden, we'll die. Wembley says, if we can't get to the trash heap, we won't have our wisdom. And then Boober replies, we'll die without ever knowing why.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, that was good.
So good.
Then we get a little nice interaction between Mokey and Gobo, because Mokey kind of storms off, and Gobo goes after her, and he seems genuinely, like, not concerned for Mokey, but...
Well, there's a moment right before that. So right before Mokey leaves, she realizes, like, you guys never like my plans, do you? And then there's this dreadful silence, and she turns away and says, oh, well, you probably wouldn't like this one either. And I was like, yeah, if you put down someone you love, if you put down anyone long enough, they start to believe it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they stop talking to you.
And so this is obviously something that she's heard before, or at least in some form or another.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is definitely the episode where I've had, I think, the most empathy towards Mokey.
Yeah.
Mokey's been a frustrating character at times, especially in episodes where she is more of a lead character. And this one, I feel like they've found a way to kind of harness her artsy, kind of zen energy, but also put her in a situation that we've all been in before.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's one of the most masterful parts of this episode is they're not necessarily wrong. Like, we get to see that she, when she focuses on a plan, focuses more on the aesthetics than the actual practicality of it. Like, it is demonstrated that that's not necessarily her strong suit, although I do think the plan that she comes up with is fantastic. And it's one of those where it's like, all right, well, you're aware that this is a thing. How do you communicate that? Do you say, hey, look, we really appreciate that you want to help, and it seems like the best way for you to do that would be to let us handle this? Or do you just mock them mercilessly because it's fun to try to make your friends laugh by being mean?
Yeah.
What I think is nice about Mokey's problem solving here is that, unlike in the past, she doesn't just impulsively follow her initial thought about how to solve the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, she's thinking about the aesthetics, but then she stops, considers the consequences, and has the follow-through of, okay, maybe I can't sacrifice myself. What's a good creative solution that puts my skills as an artist to good work to deal with the consequences, the follow-through, to deal with what will actually happen as a result of taking those initial actions? So, yeah, I agree with you that it's really well thought out, and it shows some progress in the way that she thinks about approaching a problem from previous episodes.
Well, and I hadn't even considered that. That also means that what we're seeing is someone who, like, has something that they struggle with to the point where they're known for it, actually growing a little bit and not being given a chance to express that or show it.
Yeah, I mean, she probably learned something after, remember, like, the last plan of hers was, or the last one that I can think of anyways, in the Convincing John episode, in which she got every Fraggle in the world to take part in the near destruction of Doozer society.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I hadn't thought about this before you brought it up, but they do kind of have a point.
I also think it's important to note the martyrdom aspect of it, because in The Secret of Convincing John, when she had successfully, gotten all the Fraggles to stop eating the Doozer constructions, and then they told her, hey, you've made a mistake, please undo this, she dug her heels in and was taking on that aspect of, I know what's best. It felt very martyrish to me. And now we've actually gotten to see what the inside of her head looks like when she's imagining being this great sacrificial martyr for the good of all Fraggle kind. And now I think she's made a little bit of progress in that she's able to stop and go, maybe that isn't actually the best solution.
Yeah, and I like that that's a thing that we get to see, and also it feels really important that that's something we see that the other Fraggles don't.
Yes.
Yeah. What is her solution?
It's great. It's actually low-key brilliant.
She builds a doll of herself.
Julia,
Yes.
Did you want to talk more about that interaction between
it's just,
Gobo and Mokey?
She storms off, and then Gobo follows her, and we've seen Gobo also grow quite a ton, where he was kind of a jerk at the start, and in this, he seems a lot more sympathetic to Mokey in this moment, when he kind of has the realization that they're hurting her feelings, and he's like, well, can you tell me what your plan is? And she's not letting him in because she's really mad that they're being so cruel to her. And eventually he's like, hey, we're going to wait for you at the boat, and when your plan's ready, come and get us and we'll help. And she goes off, and he does seem like genuinely concerned about the plan and her, and, probably hurting her feelings, but also wanting to make sure, Mokey probably doesn't always have the best plans, and just wanting to make sure, she has their help, and so something can go correct. It's just a nicer moment with Gobo than what we have gotten in the past. He's shown a lot of growth.
Yeah, well, and the thing that's interesting to me is that it doesn't necessarily work because of what happened beforehand, but there's this moment as Mokey's leaving where they all kind of have this unspoken realization of like, oh, we actually hurt her feelings.
Yeah.
And importantly, Gobo's the only one that does something about it.
Well, he does say, he says, let me take care of this. So they might have gone after her in a group, but I think Gobo knows in this moment that at least one of them needs to go, and it might be better if it was him.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine Red making the situation better at this point.
No.
Or Boober.
Yeah.
No. Wembley might do a good job.
Wembley might.
Yeah, it's a rare example of a season 1 Gobo actually showing that it makes sense for him to sort of be the leader of the group.
Yeah.
It's like this, and then also Marooned. He really stepped up and was a good leader in that one.
Yep.
But yeah, we cut to Mokey's plan where she has built a ragdoll of herself, who she's named Rags, and we get a very well-known Fraggle Rock song.
Can I just, in my notes, I wrote Ragdoll Doppelganger, and then I wrote Ragdoppelganger.
I hardly know her.
That's very good.
Have any of you by any chance seen that one Disney park special, forget if it was Disney World or Disneyland, in which I think it's Avery Schreiber playing Geppetto, singing about how Pinocchio has grown up and gone to America and he's all alone. And so he builds a smaller Geppetto puppet. He makes a little puppet of himself and sings about how now he's going to love himself.
What?
No.
Yeah. It's a very weird thing, and if you follow theme park podcasts, then you have heard it mocked before. I know on YouTube someone's done a riff of that scene.
That's bananas.
That's kind of what I was reminded of this rewatch. Mokey made another version of herself, and it weirds me out a little bit. Not that I haven't made a puppet version of myself before, so who am I to argue?
I mean, who hasn't made a puppet version of themselves? That's a totally normal thing. In fact, honestly, it's weirder if you haven't.
Yeah, that's true. We're all judging you.
We are.
Rags is interesting because I almost forget that Mokey is also sewn together from fabric.
Right.
And it's really impressive that they made this decoy similar enough to Mokey that I could believe it could trick a Gorg, artistic enough that I believe an artist like Mokey made it, but still far more fake looking than Mokey.
If you think about it, they're kind of flexing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they are.
And then we get this lovely song called Ragtime Queen. There is a cover of it on the Do It On My Own cover album by Jenny O. And it's a lovely song that feels universal in some aspects, but in other aspects is really hyper-specific to this situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This song is the reason why I wanted to be on this episode of the podcast, just because I think it's a banger. I truly don't have any more insights about it except that I am not much of a musician, but I've always wanted to do a cover of this song. I think I've tried and failed in the past, but I will one day try again because it's so beautiful. I wish we had more of a full-length, fleshed out version of the song.
Yeah.
With an extra verse to complete it, because I think that the Jenny O cover is good, but we need a million more covers of it. And I would have really loved is if, fortunately this one did, as it is, get an album release. But I would have really loved it if Philip Balsam and Dennis Lee could have recorded a version of themselves doing it the way that they wrote it. That would have been great. And that's the album that I wish we could have gotten that now we can't.
Yeah. I'm sure those recordings existed once upon a time when they were given to the performers.
Right.
Here's the song you're going to learn for this episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I doubt it exists now, but if it does, I want to hear it. I want to hear all that stuff so badly.
Oh, yeah.
I'll shut up in a second. But the instrumentation of this piece is a good example of what I like to call Fragglecore, because I don't have a better name for this genre of music. I would just call it Fraggle Rock, but that would be a little...
Fragglecore is absolutely a thing on TikTok.
All right, so what do I call this?
You could still call it Fragglecore.
Yeah.
Anti-capitalism is Fraggle core.
Yes, indeed. I'll tell you what I think the genre of music is, and then you can tell me what we should call it. So they do a lot of different music genres on this show, but there's a certain style that is central to the show's aesthetic, and you usually hear it mostly just in the instrumental score. So like when they move between Fraggle Rock and Doc's workshop, there's that transitional music between that is in basically this style that you're hearing now. So it's lots of little bell sounds, a sort of bending and stretching, sliding electric guitar sound, then a quieter, beachy electric guitar that's blending with a keyboard or synthesizer in a way that makes one warm, sort of marine-like tone, a prominent bass guitar, and some shuffling, jug bandy, light western swing percussion, and then the rest of the space is filled out by synths. It's one of the most beautiful sounds in the world, and its absence from the reboot throws off the vibe of that whole show for me. But here, this is one of the few recorded examples that got onto an album of what I think is really just pure Fraggle core music. If anyone has a better name, let me know, or can think of other examples. But like when you listen to the score of the show, like that's the soundtrack album I want from Fraggle Rock, just the score.
Thank you for that breakdown, because that, like, I'm a music guy and I had not thought about it that deeply. That's awesome.
I probably described some of it wrong, but I appreciate you saying that. My music rant is over.
That is okay. Thank you for sharing it. I just also love that her plan is to put a little dummy. Like, imagine setting down a mousetrap and finding out that you had caught a fake fur, like fabric mouse that was sewed by a real mouse.
That a little mouse sewed with their little mouse hands?
I would be very confused.
I love that.
Kind of cartoony.
Although it takes Junior a while to realize it's fake.
They have to point it out to him.
Yeah. We'll get there. Up in the workshop, Doc still has the hiccups, and he's trying to find Sprocket to apologize.
Which, hey, character growth.
Yeah.
There's a really great moment where the phone rings and Doc picks up the phone and gets angry at Ned because apparently Ned just called him to yell boo, which
Yeah.
is, I think that's the sign of a good friend, that you're still thinking about, oh, my friend's got the hiccups, how can I help them?
Right?
And then just trying something so silly that doesn't work. It's oddly sweet. Yeah.
Very
funny.
sweet and very funny. And I love that Doc is yelling at him like, that's not going to work. But then we never hear Doc hiccup again in the whole episode. He hiccuped right before he got the phone call. We do not hear another hiccup out of
I
Doc.
hadn't noticed
I missed that completely too.
That's
Nice.
what did it.
It probably did
That's
it.
great.
Ned Schimmelfinney, MVP.
That's wonderful.
Out of curiosity, I did a Google search of why does scaring people help with hiccups, which was the wrong question to ask because it was really assuming the conclusion. We don't necessarily know from science that scaring people can cure hiccups. But Google gave me an interesting excerpt from a CNN article about testing hiccup remedies, and I'd like to read that excerpt for you now.
Yes.
Go for it.
Being scared is another trigger for the vagus nerve. And though cows and bald men have nothing to do with hiccups, they are asking you to put your concentration somewhere else, Saifi said. That combination of concentration and distraction can help reset the brain to stop the hiccups. I don't know what just happened in the middle of that excerpt with the cows and the bald. I was so thrown off, but that's what's at the top of Google, so I guess that's what I need to know.
Huh.
The cows and bald men are trying to help us stop our hiccups.
Check out this guy not knowing about the cows and the bald men.
I know. I'm such a fake fan. I'm such a fake Muppet fan that I don't know.
You're such a fake hiccup fan.
I am.
I'm curious, do all of you have, like, your own little version of a tried and true hiccup cure?
Yes.
No. I don't get the hiccups that often.
I don't either, but the one that usually works about half the time for me is I take as big of a breath as I possibly can, just like fill to the point where I can strain, and then I sit on it for about 10 seconds, and then I breathe even more in and just like really swell, and then I sit on it. I do that if I can 3 times, and I hold it for about 15 seconds at the end, and then I let go.
Nice.
It works?
Usually. Not always.
Mine is a combo of 3 different techniques. So 1, I breathe in as much as I can and I hold it as long as I can. And when I eventually let it out, I don't do like a big, I let it out as slowly as I can. At the same time, I take in a big gulp of water and hold it and then swallow it in little sips.
Whoa.
And at the same time, I do, like, I hold my hand, there's supposedly an acupressure point on the palm of your hand that if I do all 3 of those things at once, works every time.
Wow.
Rad.
I'm learning so much. I think for those who do get their hiccups cured by hearing someone yell boo at them, listeners, just mark the timestamp of this podcast episode right here at whatever time it is so that you can come back to this when you have the hiccups, and we're going to get a clean take of me going boo. Boo!
Ah!
Okay. You're welcome. Oh no, my booing gave Beth the hiccups.
Opposite effect.
That's right. If you do it to someone who doesn't have the hiccups, it gives them the hiccups.
That's the danger.
Oh, gosh. The hiccup magic is just so complicated.
It really is. Hiccup lore is the whole thing.
I think it's also worth noting that when Doc eventually, finds Sprocket to try and apologize, it's storming outside. And he says, oh, Sprocket wouldn't go outside. He's afraid of thunder. But there Sprocket is. He dragged his bed and his little pillow that he's hiding under and his dog bowl out there to get away from Doc, meaning he's more hurt and or afraid of Doc than he is of the storm.
Yeah.
We also see him with an umbrella also when Doc sticks his head back outside before this segment ends.
Little umbrella.
Poor guy.
I do think it's really nice that Doc is already apologizing well before the end of the episode, because most of the time you'd expect that only at the end. But it's not a great apology.
It's not.
He says, I want to apologize for all those terrible things I said about you, but you know how I am when I have the hiccups. Like, excusing himself right afterwards, I don't know. Like, it's season 1, there's room, but what if they didn't get renewed? Like, you're going to leave this as Doc's level of apologizing? I don't know.
I mean, hey, I know some people who never apologize, so baby steps.
Yeah.
So,
we cut back to the Fraggles, who are in the boat waiting for Mokey, and Boober has a great little moment where he says, this is my kind of boredom, and he's just, kicked back and relaxing in the boat. His hands are behind his head. And Gobo decides to pass the time that, of course, he's going to share his Uncle Matt's postcard.
and we get a really interesting story about somebody who threw away a piece of ice, and Uncle Matt going, this is clearly a magic rock because it emits coldness. And he tries to find the original person and then does one of my least favorite things that people do ever, that I deal with a lot in classrooms that drives me up a wall, where he's like, I can't find this. Someone must have stolen it. Every time. It's never, I can't find my pencil. It's somebody took my pencil. No, they didn't. You just don't know where things are because you are a child. Look in your desk again. Look on the floor.
You're dealing with children, Adam. So on some level, I understand how young kids make that leap of, it's gone, someone took it. However, Matt is an adult Fraggle, and also, have the Fraggles never seen ice before?
Right?
I don't think so.
This was my question.
So, without revealing anything plot-wise in the reboot, my note was, so hold up, Fraggles don't know what ice is. Do they not have the legend of Icy Joe?
I didn't even go there, but that's a great point.
I think they know what ice is. They've just never seen that big of a crystal.
That's fair, and it's perfectly shaped.
I guess
ice in the wild does look very different from an ice cube.
Yeah. I think since Matt is a spoof of old-timey anthropology, the old explorer trope, I like the idea that he doesn't recognize certain things he should absolutely know from Fraggle Rock when they appear in a different context. Like when it's the foreign people's version of something that he could very easily understand, then because he's thinking about it as something alien, he completely reframes it as something that must be magical.
Yeah.
Even though it's probably something that he has already encountered. Did that thought make sense? I probably did not word that.
No, that
right.
made perfect sense, and I really appreciated it. There's stuff to say in there about Eurocentrism and colonialist assumptions and stuff too.
Yep.
We had in a previous episode where he didn't know what wheels were, even though we discussed that there are certainly wheels in Fraggle Rock, especially because of the doozers, and they know what they are. So there are moments like that as well. So
he knows what wheels were because Wembley invented them, obviously.
And Wembley also said he invented the wheel.
Why'd you say it like that? Why'd you say that Wembley said do you not believe him?
Okay.
He invented a wheel.
I believe that Wembley forgot what wheels were long enough to invent them.
Mm-hmm.
Good for him.
Just took that credit.
Heck yeah. Also, I love the line, this world has magic cold stones that cry when they're stolen.
I wrote, incredible, 13 out of 10, but many notes.
Yes. Do not ship. Please draft again.
We cut back to the Fraggles, and there's this great moment where they're still like freaking out about their whole situation, and one of them says, they say if a Fraggle starts to starve to death, their nose itches, and then there's this beat, and they all immediately start itching their nose, which is very much like the thought of yawning, or,
Yep.
you know, and then we get Gobo defending Mokey and her plan as everyone's kind of roasting her. And then we get the trope that we see a lot in television in general of Mokey coming in just in time to hear everybody bad-mouthing her and her poetry.
Yeah, specifically now, her poems. They've moved on from her plans, the things that they say that she's not good at because she's better at poetry, and now they're making fun of her poetry.
The thing that they all say she's good at to her face.
Yeah.
And oof, like, as a poet, if I heard all of my friends talking about, oh, she wrote this one poem that's way too long and it's not that good, I would be like, okay, I'm gonna go die. Thanks, bye.
Yep.
Yeah. And they're not just, like, putting it down, they're also laughing about it.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, this is such an obvious continuation of, like, you know, we can laugh at Red, you know, continually putting down Uncle Traveling Matt's postcards. We can laugh at Red and Gobo trading barbs. And yet, to me, this feels like the natural conclusion of that.
Mm-hmm.
That at some point...
The joke isn't funny anymore?
Thank you. Exactly. I never understood that song as a kid. And this time around, when I got to this point, I was like, oh, the joke isn't funny anymore. I get it now.
Yeah. This is a conversation that I have with children a lot. And I say, and I frame it, and I don't get to frame it with as much nuance as I would like, but I say, like, look, it can be fun to joke around. And, like, this happens with, like, verbal stuff, and this also happens with roughhousing. It can be fun to wrestle around, but it's really easy to go from messing around when it's fun to accidentally hurting somebody without realizing it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that is really key to me here is Gobo starts off defending her plans, and by the end of it, he's dunking on her poems with everybody else.
Yep.
Because it's really easy, if you're not thinking about it and you haven't been exposed to this level of thought yet, to walk into a situation like that and be like, oh, everyone's doing this. This is the fun thing. Clearly everyone around me is laughing and having a good time, so I'm going to keep joining in and everyone will be having a good time and laughing until you realize the actual consequence it has.
Yep.
Yeah. This scene has all of them waiting and waiting for Mokey. Like, it's implied that they've been waiting for a while, and so they're probably thinking about her with some annoyance. And so they're inclined to start saying things that they genuinely don't actually believe. Like, we know that Red genuinely admires Mokey as a poet, and yet they all just decide to be negative because it's what the group is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Which, yeah, to your point, it's like with kids, that happens a lot, where you're just with as a kid, you're just with the group of people who have all decided that it's funny to be negative about something, and so you just join in with the group regardless of whether or not you believe it.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's how you figure out the boundaries of what is funny and what is not, is you feel the boundary when you bump into something and go, ouch.
Mm.
And I think, like, even outside of kids, I think adults are guilty of doing this at times
Oh,
with
absolutely.
their friends and coworkers.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just get, you know, everyone's collectively maybe a little frustrated at a person, or someone does something, and you just get sucked into kind of ganging up on them and poking fun, even though maybe you don't actually think everything you're saying is true. And, you know, it's just, I think, a thing about being human.
Yeah, how often have you heard an adult excuse something that hurt someone's feelings by going, we were just joking. Can't you take a joke? You're
Yeah.
being too sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah. In this moment, as the next thing that happens is Mokey, she hears this. She hears them dissing her poetry, and then they happen to spot her. I think is it Gobo who sees her first?
Yeah.
And then they all start saying, "Oh, we were just kidding." And it's like, no, you can't retroactively decide that it was just kidding once you get to the point at which it's
Where you get caught.
hurting someone. Their tone up until that point was not a kidding tone.
Can I, real quick, I know I've been talking a lot about teaching stuff, but I have a very specific tool that I use every time I hear somebody say, oh, I was just joking. Whenever I hear a kid being like, oh, well, I say a really mean thing, and I go, hey, like, that's not kind. Let's use kind words. They go, oh, I was just joking. I go, oh, there's no such thing as just joking. There's no such thing as just joking. And usually they go, yeah, no, I was just joking. And I go, hold on, I can prove this. Hey, you have detention. And they go, what? And they get really mad. And I go, no, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. You do have detention, though. You do have detention. That is a real thing. You do not get to go to recess today. I am just joking, though. And at this point, they're really mad, and everyone around them is laughing because I'm playing to the crowd. Mm-hmm. And I go, what? They're laughing? I'm joking. See? Everybody's laughing. Oh. And they get really frustrated. And I go, oh, wait, okay. So what you're telling me is it's not funny because it affects you. Oh, okay. So what you're saying is jokes aren't funny if they specifically hurt people. Cool. So you're right. It's not just a joke. Tell you what, if you write up what you learned here, I'll give you half of that recess back.
You're a tough teacher, but very effective.
So you will note, I do not ever call any names. I do not raise my voice for that one. I do not, there is no cruelty. Mm-hmm. There is a, no, we are going to test this. There is a, you are playing to the crowd and so I will too and I'm better than you. But there are many, many lines that I very specifically do not cross. But no, you have to be tough. You have to be willing to hold your own in a classroom because that's the way we've set it. If I had class sizes of 6, I would not need to be at all strict or stern or play half of the stuff that I do. Mm-hmm. But we got 30 kids in a classroom. Gosh. And so you got to manage that.
Yeah.
I also almost always give them a chance to earn off any level of consequence.
That's cool.
Thank you.
I don't know that the Fraggles deserve that here, though. The Fraggles are just being jerks.
Yeah, they really are.
So I would like to bring back the hashtag that I tried to start many months ago. I'm going to try this again. Hashtag thump the Fraggles.
Oh, no.
I don't think it's going to catch on this time either, but I'm going to try it anyway.
Wow, you're trending on Gorg Twitter.
I love Mokey's line here when she's reacting to all this.
Yes.
Oh, how dare they call my white birds and death poem boring. It has to be long to give the birds time to migrate.
I love that line.
It's really lovely.
It makes total sense from a poetry point of view.
Mm-hmm.
So Mokey goes and we get, mark it on your bingo cards, we get, I don't know if it counts because she yeets it, but it's not technically a puppet.
I had the exact same note. Although she is a puppet doing a yeet.
So it's like a reverse puppet yeet.
In Soviet Russia, puppet yeets you.
But yeah, she tosses Rags into the trap, and Junior comes over to check out the Fraggle that he's caught, and then immediately is like, oh no, this Fraggle is dead. And just Gobo and Red are also, like, Mokey here, as she enacts her trap, Mokey hears Gobo and Red coming, and so she's like, I don't want to talk to them, I'm just gonna hide, it's fine. And Gobo and Red get there just in time to hear Junior proclaim that Mokey is dead, and they understandably are not okay with that. And Mokey has this little moment where she's like, oh, they think it's real, well, I'm gonna teach them a lesson and stay hidden for just a second. And by the time she does pop out to be like, surprise, it's not real, they've already gone out and the trap has been reset, and so Mokey can't get to them.
And once again, the joke isn't funny anymore. Like, she thinks it's going to be funny because she thinks it's just going to be for a second, but then the joke gets out of control.
You're so right. Oh, wow. I hadn't realized that repeats there, too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
A lot of repeating themes. This might be me reaching, but I'm going to throw out one more interesting repeating theme. This is like the show operating on its weird subconscious dream logic. Mm-hmm. So everything that happens as the consequences of all of their joking, of the consequences of Junior acting like he was just joking, of Mokey in that moment acting like she was just joking, of Gobo and Red all acting like they were just joking, the ultimate consequence all revolves around this rag doll. That kind of becomes like it's the center or the embodiment of the whole final process of the consequences of their actions. What the Fraggles are doing to Mokey that prompts this. We've been saying that they're dissing Mokey, they're cracking jokes about Mokey. The other word for that is they're ragging on Mokey.
Oh.
So I like that the show has literalized what probably was the abstract concept that they started with. They probably started with, let's do a show about everyone ragging on Mokey. And then what are the consequences of that? Let's make a rag Mokey. I again, just wild guessing on my part, but that's what I like to think anyway.
I love that. I have no idea if that was a term in 1983, but
that's a good point.
Let's say yes.
Let's pretend. Let's pretend whatever is required for me to believe that I'm right.
Exactly.
I also think it's really cute. Ma Gorg calls Junior my hope in shining glory.
Right? She has the best little pet names for Junior.
Ma Gorg is great in this scene. This is the most I've ever liked Ma Gorg. Excellent performance.
It's such a tender moment between her and Junior where, I mean, you can see the parallels of, like, in our world, a parent explaining, like, to a child, like, if they find a dead bird or they accidentally, like, kill a bug or something, you know, like, a child's first real interaction with death out in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, her telling him it's a sad, sad thing to kill a creature. She also has the line, Junior, you're breaking my heart, when he just can't get over his actions, or what he thinks his actions are.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredibly sweet, which we don't usually get with the Gorgs. Again, I mentioned Pa is left out of this whole episode, and I think it's because this would not play the same at all with... He probably would be celebrating the fact that Junior killed a Fraggle, and I think them putting Ma here instead was really smart and really fits the whole rest of the tone of the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and also Jerry Nelson was busy puppeteering Gobo.
True.
But there are a couple of funny beats, which is really interesting. Like when Ma comes out and tells him it's time to do the chores. He says, I can't. I just caught a Fraggle. It's terrible. She says, no, Junior, I think catching Fraggles is terrible. You think catching Fraggles is wonderful. Go look in the mirror. You've forgotten which one of us you are again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, again? How many times has this happened?
I believe it.
I think Jerry here is sort of reworking his joke from Jerry Jewel, is sort of reworking his joke here from the Great Muppet Caper with how Fozzie can't tell
That's what I said.
Who's who in the mirror.
Yeah. I'm the one on the right.
Yeah. I think that is part of what's so impressive about this whole scene and this whole episode is the way that it's really silly stuff put together with very sincere, tender moments that still have a lot of weight to them.
Yeah.
And Junior, in this moment, has gone full Elmer Fudd, as far as I'm concerned. Like, that's the one character I keep coming back to, because it's the way that he feels sad and guilty when he seems to have succeeded at doing exactly what he's been trying to do the whole time. Like the end of What's Opera Doc, after this whole time of him yelling, kill the rabbit, kill the rabbit, kill the rabbit, and then at the end it's like,
what have I done? I've killed the rabbit. I wrote down that exact thing.
Oh, yes! Yes! Oh, what a win. High five.
That's the high five sound.
There's also, like, we get to see Gobo and Red genuinely trying to process this. And it's a heart-wrenching little moment. Like, they don't linger there, but you get to see them kind of crying about it. And Red just kind of keeps repeating, she was my best friend. She was my best friend. And yeah, when you're grieving, sometimes you just kind of latch onto one phrase and repeat it over and over again while you cry.
Yeah. And it's the thing that she's clinging on to in this current stage of denial, saying it wasn't her, it can't be her, you don't understand, she's my best friend. And she's getting angry. She's yelling. Mm-hmm. You don't understand. She's my best friend. And she's not yelling this at Gobo. She's yelling this at the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, shouting to the gods.
I had that thought. It feels like we see them go through the 5 stages of grief in the moments where they think that Mokey is dead, which I can't remember all of them in the order, but we definitely see the denial.
Anger.
We see the
denial,
anger, bargaining, sadness, acceptance.
Yep.
I don't know if we get true bargaining, but it feels like they hit a lot of those steps along the way.
Yeah.
Until acceptance, and then they find out their friend, spoiler, is not actually dead.
How do we feel about the Muppet Wiki's reading of Gobo's line, I forgot to tell her so many things?
Yeah, thank you. I noted that as well.
I thought you would have.
I did not check out Muppet Wiki this time. Can you tell us?
So to be clear, the Muppet Wiki reads the line as possibly suggesting romantic affection between Gobo and Mokey.
I'm picking up a lot of people who edit the Muppet Wiki projecting a lot of romance on this.
Gobo with Mokey?
We need to get more ace people and aromantic people editing Muppet Wiki.
Or just more people who understand how stuff works.
Wasn't there another episode where Muppet Wiki said something about Gobo and Mokey, like...
It was Wembley and his cool friend whose name I've forgotten.
So this entry under Fraggle Facts says, this episode begins to suggest a growing romance between Gobo and Mokey. When Gobo thinks that Mokey is dead, he sobs, I never got to tell her, ... so many things. One, he doesn't sob that line. He says it quietly. And then it goes on, this theme is picked up a couple episodes later in New Trash Heap in Town. So we'll see when we get there if we feel that that is accurate. But I don't remember ever feeling that any of... Your favorite ship is your favorite ship. Good for you. None of them are canonical.
Yeah, I do remember when I was watching the show at I think revisiting certain episodes of the show around when I was about age 15, not season 15. My life is not a TV show. I have to keep reminding myself that. But yeah, I do remember thinking I think there's something between Gobo and Mokey here, and I'll have to study the show to be sure. And then I did not follow through. But there's an earlier point in this episode when Mokey is running away hurt by her friend's insults and says, they don't even like my poetry, even Gobo.
Yeah.
Which is suggesting some closeness between the two, but not in a way that's necessarily romantic at all. That is, it's odd for a source that is generally really objective and careful about not letting ships influence the writing of things, that with Fraggle Rock, we're catching so much of that.
Mm-hmm. And going back to the episode, I Want to Be You, one of the things that Red tells the trash heap is that, everyone loves Mokey's poems, especially Gobo.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can see how someone could make a love triangle out of that where none exists.
I love this song, the song that Junior sings.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the best songs say things very eloquently and take a very complicated idea and express it in a way that's not just simple but also eloquent. And I think, as we saw JD say earlier, it hits really hard, him saying, no, the joke isn't funny anymore. And that's a really important moment in development. It's a thing, the understanding of a consequence. The number of times that I've seen kids feel terrible because they try to do the whole pull the chair out from under their friend when they're sitting down thing, and their friend got genuinely hurt. I would need both hands to count. And it's one of those really important ones because it drives home the point that we can cause pain without meaning to, not because we're being mean, but just because we're not being considerate or empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Junior's hat is amazing.
Junior's hat is top-notch.
Yeah, he's got this lovely big black top hat with a black ribbon around it and a little vine thingy and a big white feather. And he's also wearing a black ribbon tied around his left arm, which I had to Google, found out that's actually a thing, mourning black armbands.
Yeah, when my mother was about to turn 20 years old, she wore a black armband to mourn the loss of her being a teenager. So it can be done in an overdramatic way if you're that kind of person.
That's amazing.
But usually it is just a sign of mourning. I think that they put a black armband on the Kermit the Frog on display in the Smithsonian after the death of, I want to say, Jane Henson.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
That sounds familiar.
That's sweet.
After the song, Junior finishes his little funeral service and blows a horn that's supposed to be... Do any of you have... I didn't write down exactly what he said.
The official and serene holy Gorg toot to the dead.
Yes, which you had to call it a toot, didn't you?
Yep.
Had to call it a toot to the dead.
And it's the same song, just played as an instrumental, but I was really hoping that when he started playing, it was going to be like Lullaby of Birdland or something, like a really upbeat number.
I'll be honest, I was fully expecting taps. Because that's what you play at military funerals, and they're a very militarized culture.
It would make sense.
There's also this heartbreaking moment where, as Junior's kind of trying to eulogize this dead Fraggle, he's like, I wonder if she had a name. Oh no, Fraggles don't have names. And then they cut to Red and Gobo, and they're so upset at him, and they're like, she did have a name. How could you say this about her?
Also, Junior plays trumpet real good.
Mm-hmm.
Mokey also is trying to get their attention all the while because she's stuck because the trap has been put back and she's trapped inside of the rock. What does she go to get to ring the bell? Because she has this moment of, oh, I know, and gets something, and I couldn't tell what it was.
It's the oar.
Oh, for the boat.
From the boat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh!
Did they bring the oar with them when they came to look for Mokey, or did she go all the way to the boat to get it?
She goes back to the boat, I think.
Yeah, I'm assuming that Sweetwater Grotto is relatively close to this location. But yeah, when we first see Red and Gobo saying, hey, we're going to go work on that boat we've been building, Red is carrying an oar.
Okay.
And then when she's down there with them, she like bangs the oar on the ground to get their attention.
Yeah.
That's right.
In that opening shot, actually, when Red and Gobo first come in, there's no context for it yet. They haven't established the boat. So I just see Red coming up to Mokey with a huge paddle going, "Hi, Mokey." And I think Mokey's about to get it. And I'm like, that's why it's called Mokey's funeral.
Totally different episode.
Very different episode.
Red and Gobo have had enough. He's brought the rope to tie her up with.
Instead, what happens in this one is Mokey throws an oar into the trap, which then sets it off again. So Junior goes to pick up the trap, and then Mokey's able to get out.
She doesn't set off the trap. She uses the oar to poke the bell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to make the noise to get their attention.
Right, which gets Junior to come over, and yes. So then she's able to run over, get behind Gobo and Red, and kind of surprises them. I don't think that was her intention, but that is how it unfolds.
I mean, it's a funny moment where Gobo is kind of saying some words over Mokey's quote-unquote dead body, and she comes up behind and she says, "It's a dummy." And then, like, as he's still eulogizing, he repeats that, and he's like, "It's a dummy." And then they realize, wait, it's a dummy, and they turn around and their friend is there. And they are very psyched that Mokey's alive. And then they also yell at Junior that he caught a dummy. And instead of getting really angry about it, which for a moment it seems like he's going to, he then realizes he didn't actually kill a Fraggle, and he runs off to tell his mom that he's overjoyed that he isn't a murderer.
Yeah, I was really glad that we got to see Junior's response to finding out he's not actually a murderer.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they included that.
So the Fraggles all get back together at the boat, and they do, like, clarify that they like her poetry.
And that her plan was a good one.
And that her plan was a good one. Like, they're pretty affirming. And then Boober is the one who apologizes. And it's a pretty good apology. Unlike Doc, thank you very much, Doc, Boober's is pretty good.
Yeah. He loves her poems because they're so beautifully tragic.
They're all talking to Mokey, and then he brings it up, like, almost just unprompted, just this, like, really nice apology. And he offers to be a part in her poem, and they all want to hear it. I can't remember which part. Is he the grave digger?
The grave digger.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, right, because then she's like, "That's what we should name the boat." And they say the grave digger, and she says, "No, the white bird."
Yeah.
Which is nice.
And then we cut to this wonderful puppetry shot of the miniature Mokey and Boober in the rowboat, really rowing on real water.
And Mokey's talking. Mokey's talking. They have a puppet talking on a boat. I had to rewatch that clip several times, and to figure out what happened. And I think it's an animatronic.
Yes.
Yeah, these are the same miniature, radio-controlled puppets that get used in the Gorg's Garden.
Gotcha.
When they're, like, being held by the Gorgs. That's how they're able to operate them.
And the idea in that scene is then carried over into the Doc and Sprocket scene that closes things up. Sprocket, he waves when he comes back in, and it's very cute and very funny. And then they make amends, and then they look outside, and the storm has cleared. And Doc remarks on, "Look, a flock of white birds." Cute little button. Very convenient that Mokey's poem was about something beautiful.
Although her poem is about white birds and death.
Right, that's the thing, is Doc could have looked up in the sky and said, "Oh, look, Sprocket, death."
Yeah, they're having this really nice moment of seeing a flock of birds fly off screen, and then Sprocket sneezes, and Doc remarks, "Oh, you're going to catch a cold because of being outside. You know how grumpy you get when you have a cold." And then there's a beat, and then
Sprocket just gives him this look.
Yeah, and then Doc kind of laughs about it, and they seem like they're on much better terms in the beginning of the episode. Yeah.
Do we have any international versions of this?
Yeah, just real quick. In the UK version, Sprocket is upset when the captain accuses him of eating the bread that he left out for the seagulls. Uncle Matt, quote, gathers radishes from a produce stand and is pursued by, quote, Gorgs, which are actually just angry, silly creatures. And in the German version, Uncle Matt's postcard is new footage shot in the Alps. Matt watches silly creatures climbing a mountain and asks them why they don't take the cable car. He then waves at them from inside the cable car and reaches the top before them.
Okay, all right.
All right, hey Beth, how should we make the world a little fragglier?
Be nice to your friends.
I'll expound on that one. Don't cut out your friends from opportunities just because of your own biases that you have, like, baked into your relationship. And also, don't treat their strengths and interests as less important because they're not applicable to every moment. Be nice to poets. Yeah.
Well said.
if you're talking about someone, talk about them like they're there and can hear you.
Build a boat. It doesn't matter if you're an artist, if you're a poet, if it's not your thing, you have to build a boat. Not a bed, not a belt, a boat.
And if you get enough friends to do it with you, you can do all of the steps at once. That was something I forgot to notice, that the first shot we see with the boat, we've got one person hammering, one person painting, one person sanding, all at the same time.
I had not clocked that.
And then it's built, like when we go back to it, right?
Yep.
Just knock it out.
See? how easy it is? See how fun it is? Build a boat. And hashtag thump the Fraggles.
Oh, JD, thank you for being our first return guest.
Thank you so much for coming back.
Oh my gosh, it's such an honor. I'm so glad you had me back. Thank you so much.
Yay!
Really, it means a lot.
Oh, it's always great fun to talk about Fraggles with you.
It's so great to talk about Fraggles with you, to talk about Gorgs with you. Someday we will again talk about doozers.
Heck yeah, I look forward to it. They're my favorites.
JD, where can people find you online should you wish to be found?
I'm okay with being perceived right now, sure. I'm on toughpigs.com. That's where you can read my writing and hear my podcast, The Great Muppet Fandom Panel. Julie has been on it. Beth has been on it. It's a good time, I think. And again, it's where you will hear the resolution of the Swoop Hoomer gag.
Nice.
It is a good time.
You can follow me most places at JD11PC.
Cool. You can find me occasionally writing for Tough Pigs and on social media at Beth Anna Cook. That's Anna with 2 N's.
You can find me also occasionally writing on Tough Pigs. Otherwise, you can find me at Geek Girl Grown Up on Instagram. I did just create a Blue Sky account. Don't know if I'm going to use that. I didn't really use Twitter back in the day, but we'll see. And then also juliagaskell.com for some poetry.
You can find me behind the couch, and if you do, it'll be your turn to hide.
All right. Reminder to check out toughpigs.com. Give us a good review on your podcaster of choice. And thank you for listening. We will see you next time.
Don't forget to dance your cares away.
Down at Fraggle Talk.
Fraggle Talk Classic is brought to you by toughpigs.com. Fraggle Talk art by Dave Hulteen Jr. The Fraggle Rock mark and logo, characters, and elements are trademarks of the Jim Henson Company. All rights reserved. The Fraggle Rock theme song, written by Philip Balsam and Dennis Lee, is used with permission. Special thanks to the Jim Henson Company and the entire Fraggle Rock family. For more from Tough Pigs, please find us at Tough Pigs on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, TeePublic, and Patreon. Fraggle Talk Classic is produced and edited by me, Beth Cook. Thank you to Joe Hennis, the Tough Pigs Muppet Fan Podcast executive producer. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time, down at Fraggle Talk.
How to do just basic hiccup remedies. Have any of you read Doc's essay, Dogs Explain Things to Me? It's actually where the term sprock-splaining comes from.
What?
Sprock-splaining?
No, forget it. Just skip it. Skip it.
Okay, I do know this reference. I do know. It took me a second, but I got there.
It was a weird joke.
No,
Too abstract.
There was a good joke. There was just lag.
Okay. That's fine. You don't have to comfort me through this. I'm really okay. I'm okay with a joke bombing. That's fine.